The Vera Show. The Vera Show. The Vera Show. The Vera Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. We're having some delayed reactions right now. So just bear with us. I am so excited about my guest tonight. So let me pull her up. Hello, hello, hello. Veronica, what's happening?
I can see you. How are you?
Okay, hi, how are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
I'm excited. How are you?
I'm excited as well, and thank you for this opportunity to be a part of your
Well,
show.
you look absolutely wonderful. It's been a long time and well, I'm so happy that you're here. And were you my first guest on my very first show
Yes, yes,
back in
indeed.
2021.
Yes,
Oh
many
my
years ago.
God. And now here you are today. So I'm going to share. Yes. So I am going to share with our audience a little bit about you. Now, you gave me your smallest bio. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to share more once I share what you gave me. So Veronica Nealy-Morris is a published author, accomplished motivational speaker, and the president and founder of a Florida based nonprofit organization called KISS Incorporated, which stands for Keep It Simple Saints. And she has over 3 decades of experience as a medical professional licensed to practice in 13 states. She holds a bachelor's and a master's and is pursuing her PhD in philosophy, specializing in holistic health. Veronica is a recipient of the prestigious Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award presented by the Texas Navy Seahorse. Congratulations! And she
Thank
is
you.
dedicated to empowering others through education, leadership, and fostering personal and professional growth. Well, I am just so excited to have you here. And what I'm going to do, because we've got so much to talk about, but I'm going to give you the floor and let you share a little bit more about you. Now, because my focus is on parents and children, I often ask my guests to share a little bit about your childhood and how it impacted you, and just be led by the Holy Spirit, whatever it is you want to share, and talk about how it shaped you and framed you to be a lifelong learner and someone that is committed to making a difference and transforming lives. So I'm going to give you the floor.
Once again, thank you for an opportunity to be a part of your show. I've watched you grow and evolve over the years, so I'm honored to be a guest for the second or third time. But just a little bit about me. You mentioned about my childhood, and we all have a story. But my childhood had a lot of challenges. I was abused at the age of 5 up until about 14 by my father. And did it transform or change my life? Yes. I lost who I was. I had very low self esteem. I didn't know my value, my worth, what have you. I couldn't connect. Even when had my daughter, I didn't know how to connect with her. So it impacted my life in a negative way. I remember having a conversation with the Lord, telling him that, okay, God, you said that you can heal. And I've read about it in the Bible and I've seen other people get healed. But I need you to show me who you are in the power of your resurrection. Once you deliver me anything that I've experienced in life, if it can help someone else, I'll share it without hesitation or reservation. So it did impact my life, but it also showed me just how strong and resilient I was because everybody has a story. My story is not anything different or strange of abuse. That's why I'm so passionate about continuing to keep this conversation going about abuse and awareness and things that you need to do to protect your family, protect yourself, and to help those that have been abused to cross over that bridge to freedom. So that's enough about me. I want to talk about, I think we were going to be talking about adult children and also mention a few things about my book. And yes, by the way, I'm very proud to say that fingers crossed, hopefully May of this year, I will have officially earned my PhD. Everybody that knows me will have to call me Dr. Veronica for at least a year.
Yes, and I've already started calling you doctor. And we have a comment from a guest, Marie McKenzie. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. And she says she's on a mission to end silence around sexual assault. And that is something that is so necessary, so
Absolutely.
necessary. And you and I were in a conversation and we were talking about adult children
Yes.
still living at home and the dynamics around all of that. And I did put in as our title, A Dream Revealed, My Dreams Revealed, which is a part of your book. So, what I would like to do is kind of focus, talk about your book for a minute, and then let's get into this conversation about adult children. And also, how does your book tie in any way, shape, or form with about this topic? So let me pull up your book and let's talk about it. I know that my sound is delayed, which is kind of frustrating, but I'm going to keep it moving. So here's your book, and My Dreams Revealed. This is your most recent book.
This
So,
book,
can you let's talk a little bit about this book.
absolutely. This book was written over 25 years ago. It was published 10 years ago, and it was just
Wow.
recently republished. My Dream Reveal is a book that proves that God still speaks through visions and dreams. Because I had so many negative conversations going on during the day hours, voices telling me that I was no good, I was worthless, I could never be loved, I'll never be healed, I'll always have this life. God, in His sovereignty and His amazing way, He allowed me to go to sleep during the same dream for over 20 years. The same dream. I would go to bed, I would dream the same dream. And in those dreams, God began to reintroduce me to the amazing woman that He created, and He began to reintroduce Himself to me. In the book, I talk about how God clearly showed me that I was going to be okay. And He gave me strategic things that I needed to do while dreaming. And when I did those things while dreaming, eventually I stopped dreaming. And I used to try to go to bed, take NyQuil so that I can go back to bed because dreaming was my safe place. Dreaming I could be the person that I knew I was going to
Wow.
be. But what God did was one day I stopped dreaming. And he said I had to put into practice what he showed me in my dreams. And I remember vividly where God said, if I just call on the name of Jesus, then I'll be healed. And throughout those years, it was like glue was stuck on my tongue, and I could not say the name of Jesus. But I knew in those dreams that there was power in the name of Jesus. So I didn't write this book to convince anybody that God still speaks through whatever medium he wants to speak through. I always say if he spoke through donkeys or he spoke through an axe, of course he can speak through dreams. Because so often we're walking around with all this conversation in our heads, all these voices telling us that we're no good, we're never going to change, we were born for tragedy, that we're just all messed up, we're all jacked up. But in those dreams I was able to be myself. And then after I stopped dreaming, I had the hard work began. I had to put into practice and do the hard work, go to counseling, get around people that made me feel uncomfortable to make me the person that I am today, the fabulous Veronica Nealy-Morris.
And you are the fabulous Veronica Nealy-Morris. Yes, you are. Okay, and it looks like my syncing has come back. Okay,
Great.
so let me ask you, because you know, 2/3 of adults who have unresolved issues, those issues stem from childhood. And
Absolutely.
so the impact that your childhood had on your life not only impacted you, but it impacted you as a mother. And
Absolutely.
and oftentimes that's what happens. And that's why we got another comment coming in here. All right. He says, oh, same one. Yes, she is fabulous. Yes, she is. Thank you, Marie. All right. Awesome. Thank you. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Get some other people here to talk about us, talk about what we're talking about today. Please, Marie, tell people to come so that we can have this conversation. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Okay. So, in looking at those things, and we're going to be moving on to adult children living at home, but your story is so powerful. And just yesterday, I was talking to a young mother, 25 years old, 2-year-old daughter, and she told me about how she recognized that there
Mhm.
was a man paying inappropriate attention to her 2-year-old daughter, a family member. And what she did, she told them, do not touch my daughter, do not kiss my daughter, do not put my daughter in your lap, do not have anything to do with my daughter. Now, the person happened to be in a relationship with another relative in her family, and that relative told her she was a bad mother and threw her out of the house.
Mm. It happens all the time. And, I'm so proud of her. There was a young lady on the line. Her name was Marie McKenzie. And if you, she's big on child abuse prevention and sexual abuse. She's actually an RN, and she just happened to be a part of my board. Thank you for tuning in, Marie. We're together. We're trying to make this go viral. The awareness of child abuse prevention and awareness. Just because this woman paid attention to the signs, she probably
Yes,
saved her child. Regardless
yes,
of the relationship that's probably strained now, she did what a mother is supposed to do, is
yes,
protect her child. And unfortunately, a lot of mothers or a lot of fathers don't protect their child for many reasons, but they don't. And it's very difficult. It's something that you don't get over, you just live through.
yes. And but the thing is, I'm having her come on my show because I want other young mothers. She's 25 years old. She graduated from college. She just got a job today, and I'm so proud of
That's
her. But
awesome.
I'm going to have her come on, and we're going to talk about boundaries and how important it is as a parent to not only have boundaries for our children, but we need to have boundaries for ourselves, because
Absolutely.
we can't have boundaries for our children if they see that you have no boundaries yourself. And so,
Absolutely. And a lot of
so
times, this is just not one generation. For me personally, I know it's generational wide. I made a point to say that I am going to protect my children and my grandchildren, and I am going to tell and talk about it and share about it, not to point fingers at anybody, but
no,
I want people to know that you have to be in tune to what's going on in your house. And we can no longer use the whatever goes on in this house stays in this house, because there are
no,
so many people that are broken, that look good on the outside, highly credentialed, educated, and they're a dead man walking. I was
yeah.
that person.
And it's so sad, and it just leaves a heavy heart to know that there are children out there that are innocent and being abused in so many ways.
Mhm.
And it's got to stop. And so the work that you're doing is phenomenal. The work that you're doing is necessary. The work that you are doing is going to transform lives. So I appreciate you, Veronica. I love you, Veronica, and I appreciate all the work that you're doing. And I know we met what, 4, 5, 6 years ago,
At least seven.
at least
At
7 years
At
ago,
least 7 years ago.
and I want to publicly.
Because you used to be a part, you were a part of the board for quite a few years.
Yes, I
And
was.
you did a lot of instilling your greatness through the organization. So you were phenomenal when you were part of the board. But I know because you were in Atlanta at the time,
Yes,
and you were doing your own thing, you had to step down. But we really appreciate the work that you did. So you're part of this.
I am a part of it, and I feel a part of it. And you know, I know that our past does not define our future.
Absolutely.
And so that's why your message and your passion is so important, because look what you went through. And people don't have no idea what all you went through on this show. I have an inkling, but to go through all the things that you've gone through, and it's come up working on your PhD.
Absolutely. And I did that for myself because having a PhD didn't make me smarter. It didn't make me better. It was a life goal for myself, because I remember God saying that I can do anything I want to do. I have just put the work in. Now it's been a 5 year journey, but I'm here. I wrote that. I did that to say it. You don't have to be smart, even though I am smart. You don't have to be smart. You just have to be intelligent. And we're all intelligent. Intelligence simply means the ability to learn, the ability to apply yourself. There are so many stories that are so worse than mine, and people that are stuck. And let me tell you, myself, Marie, let me just say that from Stuck to Limitless is the young lady that was on the show, Miss Marie McKenzie's brainchild. She reached out to me probably about 4 years ago and invited me to be a part of this beautiful anthology. And there's a list of women and men that participated in this here. And I think I sell more of those books at the bookstores and the book shows that I go to, because there are some powerful stories of just resilience. We are born with resilience, even if we don't think we have it. When you look at myself, when you look at you, when you look at Marie, when you look at a lot of these individuals, they don't look like what they've gone through. That's
Thank
why
you,
we are
Lord.
so important to continue to
Thank
tell our
you.
story. And let me just tell you, it's not always easy. I had a breakdown this week. It is
Thank
not something that you grow out of. You just have the coping tools inside of you. I had a meltdown this week, triggers, things that bring back memories and things like that. And then all the relationships that I lost because of writing the book or doing the things that I do. But anybody that knows me know that I'm not a sad person, but this is so much bigger than myself. I don't care about, I mean, I miss some of the relationships, but if that's the way it has to be, then that's the way it has to be.
And
And
you
it's not
know,
that anybody's saying it's not true. It's just don't bring shame on the family. Isn't I think that's worse than the abuse, to be honest.
And you know what? I can so relate to that because I have some writings that I've done regarding myself and the
Hmm.
things that I've gone through, and I've been asked not to share that information because it will shed some light on some things. And I'm praying about that situation. But sometimes, for our own health,
Yes.
mental, physical, and emotional health, sometimes we have to let go
You
of
have to. You
those.
cannot hold this stuff in. I remember growing up at the age of about 16. I was never a street girl or a bad girl or anything like that, but I didn't want to feel anymore. I didn't want to hurt anymore. You hurt so bad that you no longer have tears. And I remember going over to a friend of mine's house and they were smoking crack, weed, or something like that. And I've always known that whatever dirt I was going to do, I was going to do by myself so nobody could point fingers at me. So as they were in their, I guess, their high slooper, I went and I hit, I think it was crack. And let me tell you, and listen to me when I say this, that one puff, that one hit felt better than 3 orgasms and the Holy Spirit combined
Woo!
for about 6 seconds. Now, listen to me. I knew because I've always had an inward witness. I knew that I could not afford to be a crackhead. And I immediately told God, if you take this taste away from me, I will never touch it again. And I didn't because at that moment, it felt so good. Listen to me. I would have slept with a boy, a girl, a cat, a dog. That's how good it was. Everything was lit. But I said that quiet prayer to God. And I was 16 when I said that. I've never touched another drug again. And the person that I was at her house, she's been on drugs and on methadone since that time. So
Wow.
don't tell me what God won't do. That's why I
No.
don't judge people in the street because that could have been me. Only by the grace of God. I wake up every morning saying, God, it's not that I don't deserve it because I do deserve it because I'm your child, but I'm so grateful that you brought me through. So there are no secrets in my life. If it can help someone, I'll tell it because
And
God changed me, not man.
and oh my God. And see, knowing that you could have become susceptible to
Sure.
that drug, especially with the impact that it had on you when you first tried it. And
Oh,
even from a personal perspective, I had a close family member
mhm.
that got caught up in that. And thank God they were able to get away from it and be free of it for many, many, forever, until they passed away of cancer.
Mhm.
But um, knowing that God had your hand, even at
Absolutely.
that time,
Absolutely.
He had your hand, and Maria is saying she laughed about the drug thing, and then your story is powerful, Veronica. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And like you said, we all have a story,
We all have a
and
story.
all those stories are relevant to our experiences.
Absolutely.
And even though people may not have gone through what you've gone through, or even what I've gone through, their story is still valuable. Their story is
Absolutely.
still important. Their story is still necessary in order to move forward and move
Absolutely.
beyond, because our past does not define our future. And I am
Absolutely.
so grateful for that. And for you to
Absolutely.
know the power of the Lord and his hand being on you.
Absolutely.
That is why he has destined you to not only tell your story, but to show others how they can be transformed. That
Absolutely.
is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And we're going to get in that subject matter that we really want to talk about
Yes.
because it is so important. But before we do, I'm going to take the next few minutes to just kind of introduce your other things. Now, you are the founder and president of Keep It Simple Saints. You want to tell us a little bit more about this organization? And I can speak from experience. It is an awesome organization. Absolutely awesome. So I'd like for you to just kind of take a few minutes and share with our audience a little bit more about Keep It Simple Saints.
Absolutely. Keep It Simple Saints. I came up with that name because, in my opinion, Christians complicated this Christian walk. And I think they complicated a lot of things. I think being saved is just having a personal relationship with God, and He will give you what you need to do. So, Keep It Simple Saints ministry in the sense of community service. We have three initiatives. We have the scholarship program where we give out scholarships every year. It's called the Precious C Scholarship, C in the sense of the letter C. We see potential in all students. And then we have the RJ Level STEAM Scholarship, which was created after we lost our wonderful grandson at the age of 18 years old in a tragic accident on his way to becoming an aerospace engineer. Then we have the Let's Keep the Conversation initiative, where we have the platform where we speak, we listen, we learn. Once a year, we have a live coaching 101. And then throughout the years, we have like in April when we talk about childhood prevention and awareness, things of that nature. Now, the good news is we are going to be rebranding, and our new name will be the Esther Alliance instead of Keep It Simple Saints Ministry. Esther, because my real name is Esther, but I hated that name because it reminded me of the lady on Sanford and Son. If you remember the show, she was a fake
Yes.
Christian, right? And then
Yes.
when she would leave the room, everybody would say this thing that stuck to me. She's ugly from her bones, not just ugly. So I felt like her. And I remember her not really having really good friends. So I hated that name. It wasn't until I started really getting into the word of God and sitting down and being quiet, because I had a conversation with God. I don't want to get in another prayer line. And I have a chapter in my book called Standing in Line number 99. Because every time there was a prayer line or often to be given for healing, I did it. I should have stock in oil, not baby oil like P. Diddy, but baby oil. Because I
Oh my
wanted to be
goodness.
delivered. I remember hearing a reading. It says, "Eat the word," and I literally took an old Bible and I tore the pages out of the Bible and I ate the leaves because I
Oh
wanted
my
to eat the word.
God.
I wanted the word. See, I did it out of ignorance, but it was sincere ignorance. Did it change my life? Yes. In one way, it made me constipated. But I kept going to God to say, no, these are real conversations I had with the Lord. What does normal feel like? And the Lord let me know there was no such thing as normal. And I said to God, I need you to deliver me. I don't want anybody else praying for me. I don't want anybody else prophesying for me. I don't want to hear anything by Abraham, Adam, none of those people, because my life does not line up with what your words say. I need you to show me who you are and the power of your resurrection. And that He did. So I founded Keep It Simple Saints Ministry back in 2014. It's been 20 years, and we're doing a revamping so that we can grow this organization to where it needs to be.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And I am retrieving your new logo, which is absolutely beautiful, the Esther Alliance.
Yes,
And
that
so
is our new logo.
the organization is no longer going to be called KISS.
That is correct. Keep It Simple
Okay.
Saints Ministry. Because when ministry turns a lot of people off just by that name alone. But because we are revamping, we're going into the universities to teach a emotional intelligence class.
That
We're
is
It's
amazing.
necessary because a lot of my issues I had, my emotional intelligence was on life support. I was sensitive. I was in my feelings. And I think when the people that I've met throughout my life A lot of times, even when we're in church and we're saved and full of the Holy Ghost, our emotional IQ is out of whack. We're
Yes.
sensitive, or we're thinking the wrong way, or they don't like me. I can't tell you how many years I felt like they didn't like me. How many years, and I don't know who they were, but that was the negative messages in my head until I start doing the hard work, meaning investing in counseling, reading books, getting away from the TV, talking to the Lord, and listening to the Lord, meditating, breathing, doing the things that I needed to do to get my life in order. And I must say that it really does work. That's why I know for a fact these things that I share, they work.
Yes.
All I
And
know is I was once blind and now I
now
see,
I
but I
see.
would not change the journey for anything in the world.
Absolutely. But that is an amazing testimonial for you to share. And you said something just now that triggered a thought in my head, and I lost it.
Senior moment.
Senior moment. Yes. But um I want to kind of go back. There was something that you said. So let me ask you, I know this may sound stupid, but can you kind of repeat a couple of things that you said because it was so valuable and so important?
I talked about how important we need to
Oh, I know
focus
what it is.
equally on our emotional IQ as we're focusing on our academia IQ or
Okay,
intellectual IQ.
it came back. Emotional intelligence. And the problem is there are so many adults who are operating in child mode
Absolutely.
because of lack of emotional intelligence. But before we even get, and I do want to talk about this because it's so important, before we even get into the emotional intelligence, let's kind of define what it is.
Emotional intelligence, by definition, is your ability to manage your emotions and also, to a large degree, manage other people's emotions. Like I can have a conversation with a person, I can kind of tell where they are. That way, I'll know how to address them. So
Yes.
it's like I said, at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own outcome. When the Bible tells us that He's given us everything we need pertaining to life and death, He goes on to say that a man that does not know how to control his emotions is like a city broken down without walls. I can't tell you
Yes.
the years and the days that I will come home and get in a fetal position because somebody looked at me the wrong way, because I have these strong features. And I looked like I was strong my entire life, but I was a dead man walking. You could have blowed on me and I would have fainted. So I was all in my feelings. If I walked up to a table and someone was scratching their nose, I knew they were talking about me. I knew, and I felt all of those emotions. Emotion intelligence said that I can manage. Why am I feeling this way? What
Yes.
exactly is that? Learning
Yes.
new words and things of that nature.
And you know what? I know we're veering in so many different ways, but I want to give some tips for recognizing. And you said managing your emotions, and I want to suggest that we don't manage other people's emotions, but we become aware of
Absolutely.
their emotions, and then we're able to adjust
Accordingly.
and adapt accordingly without managing, because we are only responsible for how we respond, relate, and react.
Absolutely.
And so, since we're only responsible for our own emotional reactions, response, and react, respond. What was react? Okay. Anyway, what I want to say is with emotional intelligence, I want to kind of really give some pointers on what people can do to recognize and understand and be aware of the emotions that they're carrying at the moment. Let's talk about anger for one. Okay. Now, when we are becoming angry, there are not only emotional ramifications, but there are also physical
Absolutely.
ramifications. So, when a person becomes angry, you can actually feel that fire boiling up inside of you. You can feel the rage boiling up inside of you. With emotional intelligence, you're able to define what it is, how it's impacting you, and how you can change it.
Absolutely.
And so anger is just one of the things, but in regards to all emotions, understanding how you respond, react, and relate, that was the other word. How you respond, react, and relate to your emotions can make all the difference in how you impact, relate, and respond to other people.
Absolutely.
So I'll let you give some more feedback on that. And if you can give some pointers that people might be able to, because awareness precedes change. We cannot change what we do not acknowledge. And when we know better, we do better. So let's talk about what are some things that we need to acknowledge about our emotions and whether or not we are emotionally mature or not.
And let me just say, you never get there. There is not a level of mature,
No, it's
emotional maturity.
continuous.
This is something that it's a process. You're working on it every day because every day brings different situations. But first of all, the first thing you need to do is be tired of what your life feels like. You have to own it. For instance, I'm upset because they didn't respond the way I thought they should respond. But if you really peel the layers, it had to do with you. Because if you're feeling insecure about yourself, if a person respond the way that you think that they shouldn't, you think it's all about you. But when you have the right tools, you can say, you know what, my expectations for that person was wrong. They had a right to respond that way. I can accept it or not. So I'm not going to carry this weight around all the time. I remember when I first married my wonderful husband, retired Master Sergeant Robert Morris, who's a straight shooter. And I remember buying him a shirt, and I was so excited about bringing that shirt to him. He's like, honey, I don't like it. I was absolutely devastated. I heard him say, you about the dumbest wife I have ever seen in my life, buying me this so cheap, raggedy
Even
shirt.
though that's not
Take
what he
your
said.
raggedy, big nose, knock me self home and return that shirt, heifer. That's how I felt all of that.
Oh my goodness.
So I shut down emotionally for about a month. And then I remember him saying, well, honey, what's wrong? And then I was like, because you didn't like that shirt that I bought you. And he's looking at me like I am crazy. And then I started saying, God, it got to be me. And then I did the hard work. I had to learn the different emotions. I could no longer say I feel some kind of way because that's not enough. Okay, I feel sad. I feel jealous. Why are you jealous? Because she's 36 and 24, 36, and you don't ate a cheesecake? Why are you upset with her? You know, put the cheese. No, you have to talk to yourself like that. You're upset because she has a PhD. You wanted to watch Lifetime while they went to school. You're upset because they're debt free. You're upset because she's carrying a $5,000 purse with $1 in it, and you got a purse on the Goodwill with 5,000. Come on, get your values right. So I had to not take myself serious. Okay, why are you feeling this way? And I really don't have a lot of issues with emotional because I have the tools inside of me that I can work out for Veronica because it's not about the next person. Like you said, we can't manage anybody else. When, let's say, I come home one day and my husband is in one of his moods for whatever reason, I respect him enough not to run up to him and start, because women, we like to share way too much. Our
Yes.
full date, right? And he gives you that look like oversharing. You can't take that personally. You have to say, yeah, I am sharing a little too much. You have to grow up. You have to grow up. It only hurts you when you don't.
And
You
but
have to grow up.
that's true. But the thing is, when you are working on your emotional intelligence and you are engaged with or involved with others that are not, how do you get them to begin to see how that behavior is impacting on their life?
Well, you can't get them to see that until it's not working for them anymore. You cannot get them to see that until it no longer works for them. We
But
stop, yes,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
you gotta want it. You gotta want it. I
But
remember
stop.
being so jealous. Oh my God, jealous of everybody and everything. And I hated being like that.
Oh,
Even though back in the day they said I was fine back in the day, even though I looked good back in the day, I had all these things going for me, but it was something inside of me. But that was still that stemmed from childhood because I didn't get the
yes,
attention that I wanted. And then I had to go back and track these tracks to see why I'm feeling that way. Because number one, I've never been validated, and I still struggle with that sometimes. Not from everybody, but certain people, family members, things like that. I'm probably never going to get it, so I might as well accept them for who they are because you
yeah,
can only give out what you have. Not in
yeah,
a negative way, but for my own sanity, I have to accept that and love people where they are.
yes. And the
That was
thing
one of the
is,
biggest lessons.
yes, and the thing is, when you are aware of where you are at, how your emotions are impacting you, what impact is having. Because I'm telling you, if we do not come to terms with our emotional intelligence, it can affect us physically,
Absolutely.
mentally, it can affect
Financially,
you across
financially,
the
because when
board.
you're feeling some kind of way, you want to go shop. You want to get that name brand. I remember I would only wear name brand because I thought that made me somebody. To walk with my Gucci purse and my what? And then once I got home, I'm in a fetal position again, and those material things meant nothing.
And I
Now
want to
I can order from Timu or Gucci, and I'm still fabulous.
I know that's right. I know that's right. But let me tell you, when you talked about jealousy, and and as when I was younger, jealousy was a part of how I felt,
Why?
you know, and I don't, because growing up feeling insecure, feeling lacking confidence, lacking self-esteem, seeing other people getting there and me not getting there, and wondering why did they make it and why can't I? I've got all these skills, talents, and abilities, but yet I can't move forward. What's different? But you know what? And also in a marriage, my husband, my ex-husband, did things they gave me that sense of jealousy, like going to a gig and not coming back home until the next morning.
That'll do it.
Yes,
That'll
it
do
will.
it.
Yes, it will. And so I had, because jealousy was impacting me.
Yes, yes. It's so ugly and deep.
It is such a weight. And I asked the Lord to move that out of my life, because jealousy, like all these other emotions, they don't hurt the other person. They're getting on with their lives. And here we
Absolutely.
are holding the stuff inside of us that's impacting us,
That's killing us from the inside
killing
out
us
like
from the
cancer.
inside out, like cancer.
Hmm.
And so, those kinds of emotions, we don't have to own them. We don't have to accept them. We do not have to live with them.
But
And
that's not something that we're talking about a lot. We got to be able to talk about emotional IQ because intellectual IQ will get you there in the corporate ladder or up the corporate ladder, but it's going to require emotional IQ to
yeah,
keep you there. Prime
it's
example: look at President Obama. I'm going to always call him President Obama, one of the smartest men that I know. But yet, the stuff he had to go through, he needed a strong emotional IQ, as
and
well as
he
Kamala
had it.
Harris. You got to have a strong emotional IQ because as a woman of color, let's be real, we got to be 3 times smarter, more intelligent than the next person. That's just the way it is.
And we've got to be able to contain ourselves
Yes.
in the midst of any vile stuff that we may be experiencing. And I want to take, and emotional intelligence is so important. We've talked about some things that's really important, but one of the things that you and I said we were going to talk about
Okay.
is, and this has to do with emotional intelligence as
Absolutely.
well. You know, grown adult children living at home with their parents
Is
and
that a bad thing?
no, it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
But when the grown adult child feels there's a sense of entitlement and they don't have to accept responsibility as an adult in a house with their parents, yes, that's a problem.
It is a problem, but is it that adult's problem or is it the parenting problem? Because what I've seen is now my child was very responsible at the age of 14. But I've seen a lot of parents, because perhaps maybe their parents were strict or perhaps their parents put them out early, they allowed their adult kids to stay. This is the unfortunate things when an adult kid stays too long at their parents' house. Number one, there should be an end date. There should be an agreement that you're going to pay such and such, and then you're going to have your own place by a certain time. But a lot of times, parents want them to stay there so that they can get that extra money, which is detrimental to the child or the adult because then they don't know how to be responsible. I've seen so many adults stay with their parents, and this is the problem. They start purchasing big ticket items like a fancy car. They start wearing all kinds of fancy clothes and Gucci bags. So by the time the parent or they and the parent fall out and it's time for them to leave, they can't stand on their own because they got all these bills coming in. That's a huge problem. I think it's the parents' responsibility. Okay, Johnny, when you graduate from high school, you need to make sure that you have secured a scholarship by doing what you're supposed to do by doing your work. If you don't have a scholarship, then perhaps you want to go to junior college or what have you, or go to the military. But if you stay here, you have 2 years to stay here, and you cannot buy a new car. These are some things you have to be home at a certain time, and then do a contract with the end date.
Okay. Now, I understand what you're saying and
Mhm.
looking at it from your perspective. I want to look at it from a different perspective in that, one, if that adult child is working and supporting and helping in the house,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're following the rules and doing the things that is being requested by the parent, I don't care how long you stay. However, when you start breaking the rules, you're feeling, and one of the problems is that mothers tend to coddle their
Yeah.
sons. And as a result of coddling their sons, they're causing men to not have emotional intelligence, not feel a sense of responsibility, not understand that they have to carry their weight. And so, depending on the situation, just as Marie says, problem depends on why the adult child is living with the parent. Now, if an adult child is living with the parent because the parent needs them there because
Right.
of either some physical issue or whatever, it is still expected that they're going to carry their responsibility and
Absolutely. And
hold
it's
their own.
also cultural for a lot of cultures, that they stay with the parent until they get married. So it's like Marie said, and what you said, it depends on the situation,
Yeah.
why they're there. But they're not going to be there just to be, you have less money to pay on rent because it's not beneficial to them. And
No,
then
I
we as
agree.
women, when we meet these boys, we don't want to have to raise a man. We don't have to raise a boy.
Exactly. Exactly. And having raised a single male, having raised a male as a single mother,
Right.
it was very important. I mean, because you just see, I am not going to coddle my son. I mean, he stayed with me until he was 24. And the reason he left is because he wasn't following my rules. And, and so he had to go, you know. But he told me, and when he left, He didn't have any provisions.
Right.
He was really living pillar to pillar, post to post, you know? But that was a choice he made
Right.
because he wasn't abiding by the rules and he was not adhering to the boundaries. And as a result, what am I to do? I am not going to allow you to disrespect my rules and regulations. Therefore, you got to go. Now, when he left, he didn't yell at me. He didn't curse at me. He didn't trip. He just said, okay, mom. And he left. And even though it broke my heart, it hurt me to have to tell him, you got to go. It hurt me because I knew he didn't have anywhere to go.
Right.
But you didn't abide by my rules, so you got to do what you got to do. And he told me after he went through that process, Mom, you making me move made me a man.
Wow.
He told me
He
that.
appreciates it.
He appreciated it. And he knows how to accept responsibilities for his behaviors and his actions, which I instilled in him at a very early age. So when this incident happened, he already knew. He already
Right.
knew,
Right.
But, and I'm saying this, the only reason I'm saying this is so that parents of adult children, don't let them play a guilt trip on you. Don't let them control you and your household. It's your household. And
Absolutely.
and they should not, have them accept some responsibility. And one thing I can honestly say about my son, he worked, he had a job, and when he got his paycheck, the first thing that came out was money for me without me asking.
Absolutely. A lot of times, mothers, we compensate for a either deadbeat father or absent father. It's like, well, son or daughter, you don't ever have to leave here. You can always come back home. So the minute they get into a situation, they want to come back home. I mean, I think a child needs to go through a struggle. I don't think you should give them everything. Even with my daughter growing up at the age of 14, when she started working, she gave me $20 every pay period. And she did it, willingly. I never even had to ask. She's
Yes.
very independent today, but we got to raise these kids to be functioning adults. And it's too many of them are not. Even when it comes down to women, single women, we're bringing these guys into our homes and playing house with them. As soon as they get
In
married,
front of our
they're
kids.
going to the next. Absolutely. So, and then we're telling our kids not to do A, B, C, and D. And
Yeah,
kids do what they see, not what we say.
absolutely. Girl, I'm telling you, mothers, if you don't want your children gallivanting around with this guy and that guy or this woman and this girl, don't do it yourself.
Because those kids at some point know those are not all uncles.
And you cannot have every man that comes in your house having your kids call them dad.
Uncle,
So
like,
what
where's
I
Uncle
want
going
to
back in
encourage,
the room?
I encourage single mothers, and I'm not telling you anything that I did not do myself. I am encouraging single mothers. Do not expose your children to every guy that you date.
Absolutely. It's like you
Do
said, we've
not.
all had our dumb days. Trust
Yeah,
me,
we
I had
have.
mine, but the grace of God.
Yes. Now, Marie, I'm so glad you're here, Marie. She says, help them develop coping skills. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is such an important topic because so many so many parents are stressed out by their adult children living in their homes and they feel like there's nothing they can do. Come on. You're the adult. Well, they're an adult too, but you're the parent.
It
You
is
have
limited on what you can do. Once they start getting mail at that address, you cannot just push them out.
no, you
And I think
can't.
a lot of parents are afraid of the relationship with the child because, especially a lot of single women, that guy becomes her boyfriend, her best friend, her husband. So I think they're afraid of that relationship being strained, but it's only going to help them in the long run. And some relationships never return back to the way it was, but I think that's selfish on the child's behalf. But they're adults, and we have to do adult things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as an adult parent with an adult child in your house, take control. Take your power back.
Well, once they're adults, we can't parent them anymore.
No, you
We've
can't.
already parented them. Now
Absolutely.
you gotta, you can stay here for another year. This is what you need to do. You're gonna have to pay this amount of money here, even if we give it back to them, because a lot of times we collect the
Yes.
money and give it back to them. But you're gonna have to figure out a way to sell your car. You can't be driving a Mercedes staying with me, because that means you're gonna be here forever. Because that's what you see, and then then he's dating someone or she's dating someone, and they think that they've met someone that's successful. When the
Right.
truth of the
And they're
matter
living
is,
with their
you're only giving
mom.
your mama $800. Then you mad because I won't let her stay tonight. No.
Oh, that's another thing. That was why my son ended up leaving, because I told him his little girlfriends would come over, and I would be really clear, and I would be really nice, and I would say to them, "You are more than welcome to visit my son in our house, but you cannot stay here." But what was happening was,
That
after
back
I went
door.
to bed, my son was like, "You can stay here, no problem." Well, he did that one too many times,
Mm,
and it's like, you gotta go, because you're not abiding by my rules. You don't see me doing what you're doing,
right.
so why would I allow you to do something that I'm not doing myself? So you gotta go. And like I
Absolutely.
said, he was very, very polite, very cordial, very respectful. That's the word. And said, "Okay, mom." And I can't only imagine how he felt, because where was he going to go?
But he
But
did what you raised him to do. He figured it out. And I know a little bit about your son. You guys have a great relationship
we
today.
do.
Yeah.
We do. We have an excellent relationship, you know, and so even if you throw them out, it doesn't mean that your relationship is over. It depends on how you do it. But if you've already laid some boundaries and laid some guidelines, and you've been very clear, and those boundaries are not adhered to, then parents, you got to make a choice. I remember, oh my God, there's so much more. We've only got 3 minutes. Can you believe we only got 3 minutes left? And there's a couple more things that I want to share. You've got your My Dreams Revealed journal. Talk about that. And I know
Absolutely.
I just,
Growing up, we didn't have, children were seen and not heard. And I found that I was able to, what we called back in the day, defrag, get the stuff out of me that was killing me. I could write it down on paper. I can be honest with myself on paper. I didn't have to agree with or explain what I was writing. If I felt ugly and dumb and stupid, I could write those words down. And once I got it out of my system, then that made me feel better. And I just started
yes.
journaling. That was
And
my therapy. That's where the books came about, because I never intended on being an author, because I never thought I was good enough to write. But I realized that you don't have to be super smart to write. You just have to have a story and put it on paper, because there's always someone out there that can help you. It's a process. Just talks about my life, being abused at the age of 5 up until about 14, how the different paths that I took in life that led me to where I'm at now. Healing is a process. Forgiveness is a process. Life is a process. Anything that's worth having, it's a process. It's not a place that you reach, but it's a process. It's ongoing. Whether it's,
and
yes, go ahead. It's ongoing.
well, it's ongoing. Whether it's, what was you getting ready to say?
Whether it's whatever in life is, whether you're academics, emotional, financial, it's an ongoing thing. It's about growth and a continual learning. You're always learning and growing. You're learning about yourself. You're becoming a better representation of Veronica. I am the most important person in my life
Yes.
first,
And you
then
know
everybody
what?
else second.
exactly. But so often, as a matter of fact, I co-host another show on E360 TV
Okay.
called called Children's Lives Matter. And one of the things that we talked about today was that self-love,
Yes.
and how with self-love you can't constantly pour into other people, pour into other things if you are not pouring into yourself. And
Absolutely.
remember, you're either green and growing or ripe and rotten. So you need to continue to grow, to learn. It's a daily journey. We don't get where we are and say, okay, I'm there. I'm there. No, it doesn't work like that.
No,
It's
it
a
doesn't.
continual daily journey, just like our relationship with the Lord is. It's
Absolutely.
daily. It's not just on
Absolutely.
Sunday mornings, it's every day. And so
Absolutely.
we have ran out of time. And I did
That's a good
not,
thing. That means we had fun and had great
yes.
conversation.
And I didn't play not one commercial. But I was concerned because I was having technical difficulties that cleared up. Thank you, Lord. Okay. Anyway, I know we're running out of time, but I'm going to give you the final word. And then I'm going to say to our audience, I will see you on Thursday at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for being a part of my show. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let other people know about the Vera Thomas Show. We'd love to have you be a part of what it is that we do. And you can support us in many ways, but I'm not going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to give Veronica the last word.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of your show. And again, please support the Vera Thomas Show. As she said, like, share, comment, subscribe. She's been doing this faithfully for about, I think, 6 or 7 years. So I'm so proud of her.
Five,
Thank you
five.
again. And tune in for when are you on the air again?
I'm on Thursday.
Thursday. So we'll see you on Thursday.
Yes, and please go to keepitsimple.saints.com or call 401-953-5554 or go to Amazon and get her books. Well, listen, thank you, Veronica. Love you so much. And I'm looking forward to 2025. We thrive in 2025.
Absolutely.
We got another, she says, great show. Thank you. I would love for you to review my show. You can do so. I'm going to send Veronica the link and then she can share it with you. But
Okay.
thank you, Marie.
You're
I'm looking
welcome.
forward to meeting you at some point. Thank you, Veronica. And
You're welcome.
I'll say to our listening audience, we will see you on Thursday. God bless you. Have a great Wednesday and see you on Thursday. God bless. And if you would hold on, I would appreciate it. Bye bye.
The Vera